All right, yeah, you're recording.
All right, can you mute your stuff? All right, good evening. Everyone needs to mute. There we go. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the HAH Hills Management Meeting as of November 10th, 2020. A couple announcements before we get into this. The club, HAH Hills, has made an accepted offer on a new general manager. Jeff Perper will be starting November 30th and working with Randy to transition that stuff. So see Jeff, say hi, introduce yourself. He'll be here in about 20 days. He's working actively on getting relocated. In addition, I want to remind everyone the COVID situation is still with us in rampant form. So I would ask everyone to continue to follow good protocols. Please wear your mask in the lodge, in the clubhouse, or if you have to come in and deal with the office. But asking everyone to follow our social distancing so we can all stay safe. So with that, we've got two invited guests. Jamie, I'm going to ask Stephanie to go first. She had something she wanted to say. I'm going to limit the open guest to 3 minutes. So Stephanie, with that, you can have your 3 minutes.
Thank you, and thank you, management, for allowing me to speak tonight. And as usual, I would just like to thank each and every one of you for all that you do. I just had some questions, and I wanted to ask the management and the board about some of the things surrounding the dam deficit. So thank you for all the research that you guys have done on that. And my first question is there a contingency plan for if home sales slow down? And if so, what is that contingency plan to pay off the dam debt?
So Stephanie, the additional new member fees was only basically bonus money to help knock the loan principal down. Our plan that the board adopted based on recommendations of management was to continue to pay the regular assessment payments through June. And then if we had enough operating cash at that point, we would pay the loan off or continue to make payments until the last payment through December. But the additional money raised through new member fees was targeted to go toward knocking down the principal, but we weren't relying on that as a means to pay that off.
Okay, so when did you say that the dam deficit is going to be paid off? Did I hear you say December? And is that December of 2020 or December of 2021?
I believe the last payment's November, the end of November 2021 is the regular expense payment.
Okay, thank you. And so my second question tonight is, my understanding is that part of the dam deficit came because we went over budget when we repaired the dam. And so far, what we've been told is that, the amount that we owe on that is about $250,000. That's what we have estimated so far. And I understand that some of those funds got paid from money we had from the capital funds. Correct me at any point if I'm wrong. I'm just trying to follow the timeline on this. And so for the remainder of that, then that means that for about approximately 3 years, we've been paying interest only on that loan. And so we've been carrying that debt for 3 years. And so my next question to the board is, what's the extra interest now that we have paid on that debt over all this time? Has that been calculated?
We haven't been paying interest only. We've been paying our regular monthly payments since since the construction ended and they basically permed out the loan, I don't have a calculation of additional interest that we paid or could have saved by with the capital money and the depreciation money. I don't have that number.
Is it possible for the membership to be given those numbers at some point?
If you went back and took it's basically $102,000 and said it was money we didn't borrow, you could check forward. But I mean, I wouldn't know. We just paid the monthly payments and then regular interest. I don't know how you calculate the additional interest. I mean, you could go back and remodel the whole thing.
So, okay, so I guess that leads me to that leads me to my last question. So, at some point during the dam repair, someone was writing checks and we were over budget. So my question to the management is, it's become apparent that no one was watching or being watching that account. And so my question tonight is, this is my last question, by the way. What is the plan that we're never in this position again? And so, like, if the next big project comes up, what do we have in place now that we're doing or that's going to be put in place to be responsible with the membership's money so that this doesn't happen again?
Okay, so one of the procedures we're implementing, we're changing to an annual audit instead of having the audit done every 2 years. In addition, we're looking at upgrading our services from an outside CPA. We currently use a CPA to do a limited amount of services. We're looking at some additional outside services from a CPA just to do some outside reconciliations of the various accounts so that we can have so the board management has a better comfort level that these accounts that we are watching spending on this type of project.
Thank you for your time tonight, board. I appreciate you letting me speak, and thank you for all you do.
Okay, thank you.
Bye now.
All right, Randy, you want to start us through the agenda? Oh, actually, Jamie is up first. So, I was not at the last meeting. I believe the management committee approved the concept of, or at least approved the idea of having the shelter house enclosed and a heater put in there to prolong the summer season. This does have to go to the board because it's running through as a sub-fund of the golf committee, and golf chairman will need to present that, or the golf board member will have to present that to the board. But we've asked Jamie to come and present as far as what the procedures will be around following COVID guidelines in that shelter and smoking guidelines. So, Jamie.
Hey guys, thank you for having me. So again, if anybody has any questions throughout this, please stop me and ask any questions. But the whole goal was to obviously enclose the shelter house to again prolong our season of summer, but in a lot of other ways too, to kind of expand the social distancing so we have more area and we can allow more people to come to the clubhouse and spend more money, obviously to try to get some more income revenue from that as well. So put together some ideas, talked to quite a few people and asked what their thoughts were. We had a ton of people say, hey, it sounds like a great idea. So I started going to work and doing measurements and looking up some commercial curtains to try to find something that would last, something with low maintenance, something that'd be very easy to put up and something very easy to take down if needed. So I come about finding these commercial curtains. They're very nice. They're UV resistant. They're waterproof, so on and so forth. We got volunteers that are willing to put them up and install those. The nice thing about it is when they're not being used, if we want to leave them up, they simply roll up to the top out of the way, and they're going to be under the soffit, so they're not going to be in the way of anything. And then in the summertime, if we wanted to take them down, we could simply remove them, roll them up, maybe store them in a maintenance building, maybe store them down where the golf carts are. They literally won't take up very much room at all. Lengthwise, they may. I don't know that we want to fold them. We probably want to keep them rolled up. But we have plenty of volunteers that want to do that themselves. And as far as the heat goes, we've got a contractor that lives here in the hills that's volunteered his time and is willing to do the electric for us if need be. And my thoughts on going electric versus propane, I just want to add this in real quick, is the fact of didn't know how it would be trying to drag propane in and out of there, heaters in and out of there, people trying to use it after clubhouse hours, which would in turn, I think, open the doors for people drinking alcohol, not social distancing, not really having anybody there to monitor any of that stuff. So the thoughts with having the electric be to have the clubhouse have maybe the authority to turn it on and off from inside the clubhouse so that it could not be used outside of clubhouse hours. So that was kind of the thought around the electric. I know there's a lot more that we need to do. We need to have somebody go and inspect it and make sure how we need to run it. But all that is also donations to be taken care of. As far as the guidelines, to answer your question, I think we need to follow the same protocols as everything else. Masks should be worn if it's required by us, by the state. I think smoking guidelines, whatever rules that we have for the clubhouse, should all also follow out there as well, especially if it's completely enclosed. I guess my suggestion would be is if we only have it closed down the backside along the golf course, the side along the clubhouse, then it's open in the front and open on the other side where maybe the the fire ring and stuff is. That maybe that might be still a possibility for people to smoke outside, but I don't think anybody's really going to have an issue. There's going to be the people. I'm not a smoker, just so everybody knows. To me, I could care less, but I definitely don't want to stand in there with a bunch of people trying to smoke. So I think we should follow all the same guidelines. I don't think it changes anything. I think all the rules should apply the same way as it would apply on the deck out back. And definitely when it's being closed off, I don't think anybody should be smoking. And I think that there's not going to be anybody has a problem with that. But open it up to you guys if you have any questions. I know I covered a lot real fast in 3 minutes, but any questions?
Do we have to move any tables out to maintain the 6 foot distancing in there? Is that going to have to be?
I don't know, because let me ask you guys a question. And again, this is a question back to you guys. Right now, the amount of tables that we have in there now, does it change anything?
I haven't really looked.
I don't know. I don't know if that would make a difference or not. But as of right now, we're not doing it. We're not taking any tables out. If we close it off, I don't know if that makes a difference.
Okay. I think we have to put some signs up that say, if you're up and moving around, in and out, you're supposed to wear a mask. If you sit down eating or drinking, you can remove the mask. I would agree. If we close it off, it has to be noticed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would say that's just a no-brainer there. Nobody wants to sit inside an enclosed area with a bunch of cigarette smoke, including myself.
No. Management, do you have any other questions for Jamie's proposal?
No.
The board's original concern had to do with how COVID would be handled and how smoking would be handled. And it sounds like you are addressing that. The last concern that will need to go to the board is the creating of a fund, a subcommittee fund for this. A concern that I have after having lived through and living through right now, possibly refunding people for a previous fundraiser, is how good is the tracking here? How reliable? I mean, that's an issue. Do we know who is donating what? And can we track that back out?
Can I share my screen somehow with you?
I think you're able to. We should have an option at the bottom to share.
Whoever the chair should be able to ask me to share, I guess. Oh, wait, I see it. Share.
Yeah, share at the bottom. Everyone should be able to share.
Can you guys see my screen?
Yep.
Okay. So I've been keeping record of every piece of it, whether it was a cash donation, a check donation, whether it was through a Venmo account. I have the totals here on the right, as you guys can see. I'm keeping close track of this. And after talking to the golf committee, I'm willing to hand over all of this to them. So future donations can be donated directly through the golf committee and checks to be written by the way Hills. And they will have a copy of this as well. But I've made sure to keep very close track of every penny of every donation, because that's the last thing I want also is pointing fingers and, hey, who did what and where did it come from? So I just wanted to share this with you, that I am keeping track of every penny.
Okay. So you're going to present this to the board, and who's your board rep for who's the board rep for the call?
I believe right now it's either Eric Lapp or Tim Weibel, correct?
It's Eric Boysko and Tim Weibel.
No, the board rep for golf committee.
Oh, the board rep. That would be Tim Weibel.
Okay. Tim as board rep will have to present, make him present this as a golf committee sub fund.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And again, I hope this is what you're looking for. It's something to this nature. Is that kind of what you were asking for?
Yeah, I just wanted to be certain that we are able to track it. It's preferable, I think. I don't know. If you were to say the cleanest way, Jim, for donations to be made, what would you say that would be?
The cleanest way is always keep the member out of it and just have people write checks or drop cash at the office checks, and it's earmark it golf committee sub fund, or they mail them into the office. That way the office can just put it in the committee's fund and track it that way. I mean, I think if this gets approved, you obviously want to just turn the money over to the office, your list, and then have all future donations go directly to the office. It just protects you a little bit too.
Sure, and I have zero issues with that. Who takes over the money and all that. I prefer not to have the responsibility, but it don't matter.
I don't blame you.
To me, it don't matter how this happens. I just was looking for something that would help out everyone and have another opportunity to give us maybe some extra revenue through the cold season and allow more people to come there and allow more social distancing by doing this as well.
Yeah, because the inside of the clubhouse is pretty small.
Yeah.
It doesn't allow a lot of social distancing. So I think it's a great idea. I appreciate you taking it on, Jamie.
Yeah, no problem.
Hopefully.
Randy, we could set it up similar to the SOS fund, right?
You're muted or you're frozen.
He's not talking.
Can't hear you, Randy.
Yeah, all right. I didn't hear the question.
Can we set it up similar to the SOS fund?
Probably could, yes. But I mean, the SOS fund was quite a bit larger. I don't know that would be necessary.
It's really like the beach sand fund that
right
was raised through the Lakes Committee. Just set up a sub fund of golf, and then golf we can pay it out of there, and then get it clean. Okay. Any other questions for Jamie?
Nope.
All right. I appreciate that.
Thanks, Jamie.
Thank you very much.
Thanks. Have a good night.
Thanks, Jamie.
Yeah.
You can stay on for 2 or 3 hours with us.
That's okay. See you. Have a good night.
All right, Randy, you want to take us through the numbers?
Yep, absolutely. By the way, my internet keeps going in and out, so if I lose you, I apologize. But I'll go through this as quickly as I can. Capital fund totals $235,665. Depreciation fund total $226,335. Delinquencies for September is $22,469. For October, they went up just a touch, 22,873. Road delinquencies in September was $3,780. They went down to $3,200 in October. Popular Bank special assessment account, Popular Bank, we still have $101,560. Dam repair checking, $114,449 for a total of $216,009.
Capital and depreciation dam allocations and reserve fund, we'll do that at the next meeting.
Yeah.
So you want to take us through news and notes?
Yeah, container was ordered and it will be delivered this Thursday, sometime between 10 and 2. The driver's supposed to give me a call and let me know closer to what time, but we're all set up and ready for that.
Where's it exactly going to go?
Right behind the guard shack at a slight angle. And so there'll be room for the UPS trucks and everything to get in there to unload. But they've put a gravel pad down, and then the container people recommended putting it up on blocks. So we've got some blocks set out there. We'll put under each corner to sort of allow for ventilation underneath the container to keep it from rusting and getting wet and that type of thing. They will be attempting to get some kind of electric in there, so we'll have some lights. Whether or not we put any heat in there or not, I don't know. We're not sure about that yet.
Are we going to have shelving in there?
Well, we're going to have to purchase shelving. I asked them about shelving, and they do not supply that. So we'll have to purchase some shelves to put in there.
Okay. And then it's the pricing for some shelving.
Yeah.
I wouldn't buy a lot. We can put big items in there, but we need some shelving in there.
Yeah, we'll probably only put shelving down one side.
Okay.
That way we can keep the other side for movement and bigger items.
And where's the plan on taking this as soon as the holidays are over? Where would we take this container?
Well, the thought is to use it up at Golf Maintenance Building for them to put some of their equipment in.
Okay.
The issue is trying to figure out how to transport it up there. This is 40 feet long, so and I'm not sure how heavy it is, but that's something we're going to have to figure out, because I don't know if our pontoon trailers will handle that or not. Possibly not.
Possibly not. We might have to get a 20 or so foot trailer for longer, try to move it.
Right.
Or pay someone to come in and move it for us. That might be the okay. It's a temporary solution, but keep working on a permanent one.
Right. ACH, as of last Friday, we had 40 people have signed up, and that's working quite well, it seems like. We had talked about the Mevo audio connectors for future board meetings, and those connectors came in all but one connector. And I've talked to Greg Blank. He's coming in Thursday. He thinks he has a way around those ones that haven't come in yet, or that one connector hasn't come in yet. So we're going to test that on Thursday. Of course, we won't need that again until we do in-person board meetings, but we will, at least we'll have it up and running. The last part here on news and notes is the Spectrum phone hookup, which we signed up for. Come to find out that they've got to go through a whole lot of steps in order to get that taken care of, get it hooked up, and it may not be hooked. It probably won't be hooked up until spring of 2021. So that's something I wasn't aware of when we started out. But they have to do the engineering, the surveys, run the lines, and so that's what they told me. It's probably going to be probably late spring of 2021 before they have that all taken care of.
Okay. Make sure we leave Jeff really good notes so he knows how to pick that up. when obviously you won't be here, so make sure Jeff has good notes and contact.
Yeah.
What's going on with that?
Well, I'm sharing everything with Penny, so she'll have all that information. I mean, I'll share as much with Jeff as I possibly can. I'm sure there's going to be a lot to go over in that short amount of time, but I'll do the best I can. But I'm keeping Penny on board on everything.
All right. Yeah. A new safe for the chef's office, store money. Current safe we have is unsafe. The door's falling off. JJ, you had looked into.
I did. I looked into a number of them, and the ones, there was always something, either it wasn't big enough, or it was more expensive, or it wasn't fireproof. The one that Randy picked out is nice. It's heavy duty, and it meets the dimensions that he was looking for. The other ones I saw were were different in one way or another.
Okay. Anybody have any objections to buying? I think it was what, $600?
Something
$584.
like it. But yeah, 584, something like that. That was before tax, so it's going to be end up around 600.
Yeah. Martin, Steve, you have anything? Marty, you good?
All good.
Good.
Rex, good.
Good.
Out there in cyber world. All right, you go ahead and get that, and have maintenance get the old one out. Probably scrap that one. I don't want anybody trying to use that one.
No, we don't want anybody using that.
I mean, I actually prefer if Rick would either weld it shut or cut the perhaps so nobody, tries to use it.
Do we need an anchor?
What?
Do we need an anchor?
Always need an anchor.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really don't want it at the bottom of our lake either.
Yeah, if you can get it onto your boat, you can have it.
Yeah, no.
No. All right, discussion items. Road expense.
Road expense so far is $94,535. The left in the chip and seal account, I just updated that today, is $46,595. So we still have some money in there that we can use, and we have. So that's a good thing, and we'll have quite a bit left in there as well. And then the chip and seal expense year to date is $155,022.
Okay. Are we pretty well done with hot patching the year?
No, we're still doing some. They did some on Cardinal Hill yesterday, as a matter of fact. And as long as the plants stay open, we'll continue to do some patching.
What about do we need to buy any guardrail posts for the year? Or we've got some to get through the year.
Well, we've got quite a few out there. We just haven't been working on them. We've been concentrating on the patching.
Yeah, that's
and everything.
fine. We usually have some get wiped out in the winter. To make that's going into winter.
Yeah.
And then what was my last? Rex, do you have anything to add on roads?
No, Rick and I are starting to do some planning for next year, and assume we're going to need some budget numbers pretty soon, and we'll be ready.
Yeah, looks like we're going to have a little bit of money carry over, which is always a good thing. So we're basically. Oh, one last question, Randy, on roads. When are the speed bumps coming out? 15th.
Well, they'll leave those in probably till sometime in December. They typically don't take them out until it gets closer to when it's going to snow, and so they'll leave them in for a little while longer.
Okay. Don't want to get caught in there.
Yeah.
Otherwise, they'll come off pretty quickly.
Yeah.
All right. Member playset.
I think Marty, was that you went down and took a look at that?
Yeah.
That play set?
Yeah, I took a look at it, sent it over to all you guys what I found, and I mean there's nothing wrong with it. Just might have to replace the rungs on the ladder on it, but if we have a need for it, might as well take it. Price is right.
Yeah, well, they're trying to get rid of it. Rick took a look at that, and he wasn't too crazy about it. He said it looks a lot better from a distance than it looks up close. But the other issue is where we would put it.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know where we really need it. Not to mention, it's probably cemented in the ground, isn't it?
No, it
Oh.
just sits on top of the ground. It's going to be a pain to get it out of there, though, unless you bring a boat over to take it out. A boat would be the best way to get it out.
Well, we
I
could
don't know.
still do that. We could still do that. I think we still have our maintenance boat out on the water.
The bigger
They'll be
question is
pulled.
where you're going to put it.
Yeah, that's the issue. Where would we put it?
We don't need it at the playground down front. We don't need it at the lodge. I don't know where.
Well, the thought was maybe putting it over by the pool, and possibly on the other side of the tennis courts. However, I don't know if anybody would go clear over there and use it or not.
Kind of indifferent to it. I guess I don't see the point of moving it just for another place that we've got 2 places already. Anybody else disagree or?
No, I don't really see a need for it. And then again, too, I mean, I don't think liability is a lot, but it's something to have to consider.
Yeah. Oh, it's just a hassle of maintenance trying to move it when we don't truthfully need it. So, Steve, you got any other thoughts, or Rex?
My only thought is if Linda wants to ask whoever the board rep of the Activities for Youth committee, and I mean, if they see they have a need and want to, you know, but if no one sees a need in the community, then I don't think we go through the hassle.
Yeah.
I think that's a good idea regarding asking the Activities for Youth. I believe the board rep for that committee is Eric Lapp. So I will do that.
Yeah, wouldn't hurt to ask. They may have a need. We're not thinking of.
Or check with the pools committee. It was just a thought someplace for it. Thought if the kids were on a swim break, it would give them something they could be doing.
Yeah.
If the good Lord willing and gives us back a normalcy next year.
Yeah. Well, Linda, let me know what Eric says. I told Colleen that I'd get back with her tomorrow, but I can let her know that we're still looking at it.
Yeah, I would say that I should know something by the end of the week, but I don't think I'm going to know tomorrow.
Okay. Well, I'll let her know that also.
All right.
All right. E-statement, Randy?
Okay. We've had our database tech trying to get the e-statements up and ready to go, and they are now, that we can send them out if members choose to get their statements that way. Penny thought that she'd rather start that in January. We'll sort of do that like we did the ACH, would be send out notification and see what people want, and then we can start doing that. I mean, a lot of people, we hear that all the time. They don't open their statements, but if we can send them out by e-statement, which we can now, we can do that. So if that's okay with the committee, I'll have Penny start advertising that, and we can start doing that at the start of 2021.
It's going to be an option for the members, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea. Start doing more electronic stuff. So, anybody object to that, or?
No.
Well, the one thing about it, I mean, stuffing envelopes for 700 and some members takes a good 4 to 5 hours. And so if we can do them by e-statement, it's going to cut down on that time tremendously.
Yeah.
Randy, how are members going to opt in for that?
Pretty much they'd send us a notification saying that's okay with them. Yeah. And
Okay.
Penny will set that up.
The long-term
What-
desire, Annie, would be we get a more robust system where members have a portal. You become a member, you get a login and a picture password. You log in, you download your own statement. But our current database is not set up that way. But that would be the long-term goal.
Right.
Everybody would have a member portal. They can see their balance, get their statement, possibly even pay online. But,
Good.
This next
manager
item,
project review.
we've talked about this for several years, and management would like to see it because some of these projects that's being put together by the committees, I think it's necessary for management to review them. And I don't know if long-range planning is agreeable to this or not, but I think it's important. I mean, we've had some projects that's been put together that hasn't been put together very well, unfortunately. And so this is something that I think we should ask long-range planning to have their committees put their projects together early enough so that management can review them and see if there's any issues with any of them.
So Randy, it's kind of tight deadline, but projects are due to the office November 20th. Now
Yeah.
we do have a meeting November 24th. Is it possible that we can turn around these projects from long range planning enough that anything that affects, anything that affects the management committee would have a chance to talk through these recommendation on yea or nay?
Well, I think the management committee should have the chance to review them and question the projects of why and how much good it's going to do for the community, and to see if it's going to be put together properly.
Yeah, we obviously the management committee would be a recommendation. We could recommend to the committees that we don't think it's a good idea and or want to make sure it's done right, so we don't have to go back and spend money to fix the problem. But can we have that together by the Tuesday the 24th so that we can actually go through the projects?
Well, I think that's up to long range planning to require their committees to have that stuff ready.
Well, they have to have it submitted by the 20th, the deadline.
Right. Yeah.
So, but that's submitted to the office. Can the office get that turned around to the management committee by the 24th for review?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So let's plan on the 24th, spending some time going through those projects and asking questions.
Okay.
And that'll at least give the chairman a chance to defend their project or make some amends to it to make it work.
Could we also get them to include maybe some statements about what it's going to take operationally from the club, for future expense consideration? Like we've talked about a fitness center, which I think something people really want down here, but we never really got into what's it going to cost to run it, the electric, utilities, insurance, liability, and these are all, continued adding on costs too that I think somewhere all along we got to be figured into for budgetary reasons. I mean, if it's just going and buying something that, that's a one-time expense, but some of this stuff is ongoing and there has to be some consideration in there, I think, for that budgetary amount for the club.
A lot of that stuff also, there's maintenance afterwards.
Yeah.
Which hasn't been taken into consideration.
Yeah.
Deep cleaning.
Yeah, we want to make sure we protect, first and foremost, we protect our assets. So whether it be the pool or tennis court, some things are kind of cut and dry. We got to have the tennis court resurfaced. So every 4 years we get the tennis court resurfaced. That's pretty cut and dry. But when it comes to things like altering our amenities, whatever golf plans are, or whatever committee it is, I think we need to at least have some input of, how does this affect our maintenance? How does this affect our expenses going forward?
Exactly.
Anybody else got anything to comment? So 11/24 meeting, plan on spending a good amount of time going through that list. We can ask questions. Management committee is adamantly against it. I guess we can make a recommendation. It's not a good idea, or
Or
at the end of the day, this comes down to the committees. But
are we going to get a list with the budgets and the schedule and all the other information ahead of time so that our conversation is meaningful? Otherwise, we're just going to go through a list that we're not have reviewed, and it's not a good use of anybody's time.
yes,
Go ahead, Jim.
they're supposed to have their complete projects submitted by the 20th. Now, it's a little tight timeline for the office to kind of turn that around, but we should have a summary, at least some detail. There's a summary schedule that they've got to put together, like what their project is, why they want to do it, and we can at least get that access to that in the budget.
Yeah, but what does the office have to turn around? I guess help me understand that.
Basically putting together a summary of all the projects and making sure we have all the lead sheet that they put together with their project.
Okay, but that's something that they email, right?
Yeah, they're mostly emailing that in, so it's just a matter of the office gathering it up.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, I guess what I'm asking, I mean, once they get it in, can't they just forward them on to us?
Right. Yes. Yes. We can do that.
You just make it more than what you desire.
Nah. I think you get a couple hundred emails a day. I know how to ignore them.
Delete.
Yeah, don't watch doing it.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll plan to review those the next meeting. They're supposed to be pretty detailed, but see how that goes.
Okay.
POS online access. Vigilant.
Let's see, I think when John was in charge and Dan Donovan was on the food service committee, they asked to have online access so they could review everything.
Mm-hmm.
And so we're paying for two online access programs that nobody's using. And I didn't know if you wanted to, I mean, it's $64.05 each per year, which is not a huge expense, but if we're not going to use it, why have it? Jim, I know you're the chairman of the food service committee. Do you want to keep that, or do you want to, or not?
Well, like the food service manager be able to download reports like from the POS system?
Yeah, that's pretty much what it's
to do online. It's to just get
yes.
online.
Yes.
I don't see a need for it because our food service manager would just be able to pull them themselves and send them to us.
Right. I think it was more or less for wasn't for him. It was from the food service committee so they could review things.
I don't think we need that.
Okay.
No, I don't think so.
Yep. If it's not being used, we don't need to pay for it.
Right. Well, that's kind of what I thought also. CPIW came out. It appears that it's 1.5%. We want to get that out pretty quickly so that it's in this coming echo. We want to put a e-blast out so the members know what their assessments are going to be for next year. So
I sent everyone. Yeah, I sent everyone. Jim Krieger was to update the schedule for me, and I know where to get the information now. Right, I found it after I sent it. But I appreciate him doing that. And I did send that out to everyone so you can see where we got the number. But our assessments are going up from 201.05 to go up $3 to 204.07. So nobody has any questions. I think it's pretty clear in the code.
Yeah,
like that.
It's okay to send that e-blast out tomorrow then?
I think so.
Mm-hmm. All right. Thank you. Okay, this next one, I really didn't get a chance to send this out to the committee. I did share it with Jim. This lady or this couple who don't live here full time, but they have a house in Columbus, was wanting to do some kid Taekwondo classes in the great room on Saturdays. I talked to them about this a little bit, and I was really unclear whether or not they were going to charge for these classes. Actually, we talked about this before. I mean, there was a dance club or dance class that wanted to start, but they were going to charge for it. It looks like they're just going to charge for uniforms. I was concerned about liability, and they said they get the parental consent. So I don't know. What do y'all think about that?
Can they have the class with COVID restrictions? I know the YMCA, I think, did restart karate, but I think when you're doing the karate, you have to wear a mask while you're doing karate. We would have to find that out. What are the specific guidelines that they would have to follow? I don't have a problem with them. I was against it when I first read it because if they're going to charge, then that's not going to happen. That's against. We don't allow people to rent it for something to make money.
Right.
What about the youth committee taking hold of this? I mean, isn't that in their category per se?
I didn't catch that.
What did they think about having the youth committee sponsor this? I don't have a problem charging for you. You just paying for your uniform, but what was it?
Well, I suggested that, but I hadn't heard anything back from them on that.
From the youth committee?
I mean, if they would run that from the folks that wants to put this on, this is Donna and I don't know where her husband's name is, Gork, and I had suggested that this would be a lot easier if they ran it through a committee. They could do it through the Health and Wellness Committee, or they could do it through the Activities for Youth Committee. But I didn't hear anything back from them whether they wanted to do that or not.
Well, I think my recommendation to them is they pick a committee. I think the Health and Wellness would probably entertain this, and
yeah, I thought so too. They
could run it too work with Joe Williams in that committee, and then run it to there. That way, the board just votes on that committee activity, with any other activity.
Okay.
I don't have a problem with it as long as it's run through a committee.
Right. Okay.
But they have to follow the workout guidelines for karate. And I know you can find those. And I can ask the YMCA what they.
Okay.
All right. The comments.
Thoughts, Jim?
Would it behoove us to look at their credentials? Do we know that they do this kind of thing? Where do they?
Yes. Yeah, their credentials were pretty good. They did send me. Well, I don't have anything officially other than what they told me. So, Linda, that's probably a good idea to see what they do have officially as far as credentials. I mean, I don't know if there's anything official that they can send me or not.
Could have some certification.
Yeah.
Be an instructor.
All right, I'll ask for that.
And
do they carry insurance?
They wouldn't be. They wouldn't. No.
The club will want to make sure we get copies of the release forms.
Right. Yeah, they would submit that. Yes.
Well, why don't you go back to them and just see if they're willing to go through approach health and wellness or activities for youth, and see if those committees are willing to sponsor this. So
okay.
Yeah. If one of the committees sponsor it, that way all the funds can just run through that.
Yeah.
I mean, members could purchase the uniforms through them, but any activity type based stuff has to go through the committee.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
If they want to donate, they can donate to the Health and Wellness Committee, and it can work that way. But that way, just running through a committee is a clean process.
Okay.
We need a background check on these people.
Oh,
Does anybody know them?
I don't know.
yeah. I don't know.
You make a good point because these are children,
Yeah.
minors, and these are adults that are working with them, so to speak. So you make a good point.
Yeah, there's a whole lot of stuff that you have to go through just to volunteer with
Yeah.
and be around kids, and even in schools, right?
Yeah. Or youth sports. I mean, there's all that
Yep.
stuff there.
Yep.
The more I hear, the kind of iffier I get. But
Let's just see where it goes after it's see if it's something they want to pursue.
Okay.
I put this on here: lodge update and amenity carryover request. So the lodge has been open about 4 weeks now. Business has been fair. We have pretty minimal payroll. After the first couple of nights where we were just training, we've got pretty minimal payroll. We're doing $800 in a weekend. So with minimal payroll, it's been actually pretty decent. I think it's going to work out pretty well. We are having some food trucks kind of cancel or whatever, so we may consider it doesn't pick up closing down in December. We'll kind of have to monitor COVID if it's worse, if it becomes worse, and that starts really affecting business. We'll close down earlier. Amenity carryover. If you remember, if you run it, we had $16,000 for food service for a new floor in the kitchen area. And basically, if you haven't been in our kitchen, we've got a tile floor. It's got cracks, leaks. Grout in a kitchen floor is not the greatest because it can hold bacteria. And so we had a $16,000 last year approved for a commercial grade floor. When we shut down, we made the decision not to pursue that. But since we want to reopen, hopefully by April, I'm going to have Cabot present to the board asking to carry over that amenity request to next year, and then we'll start doing that in January, February, when we're shut down and remodeling. So, anybody got any questions about the lodge, concerns?
Yeah, Jim, I wanted to say something about the health department report, which was pretty good.
Yeah.
Although one of the things that they did tell us that we do need to have some sort of food when we serve alcohol, and the food trucks don't qualify for that. So the Chex Mix or something like that, they suggested frozen pizzas, suggested soup of some kind. Jeannie was there. She had us all that information, but
okay.
I just want to make sure I put that out there for you. Because
we have
they
a food
said
service meeting Thursday night.
Okay, yeah, she'll share that with you.
Do you have to sell Chex Mix or just have it available?
They just have it available. Yeah.
Okay, that's an easy one.
Hey, Jim,
Okay.
do we have any idea on an update for the plan remodeling? And I ask because as people are contacting Kathy to indicate whether or not they want their money back, some are saying they want their money back until they see a plan, and then they plan to put that money towards it. So I think the sooner we have that, the more people would be willing to just say, yeah, push it towards the remodel.
One of the things we're gonna talk about Thursday night. Obviously, we're gonna submit for some amenities money. I would like to have a real comprehensive plan together, but unfortunately, there's a lot of help on that right now. So I'm going to do the best to put together a plan.
If I can jump in, I think
Yeah,
it's something that we really have to, I don't want to be a downer, but we have to pump our brakes on this with COVID. I mean, it's getting crazy again. I mean, we're following the guidelines of the state. I understand that. But we don't even know for sure if the lodge, if the members are going to support the lodge. I mean, so far, it's been good. We haven't lost any money. That's great. Jill and I are hanging low. We're not going to go up there. We have responsibilities with our grandkids and stuff. So there's things like that. And I think there's other people that are in a similar situation as we are that probably would go up if it wasn't for COVID. But if we're really looking to do a remodel, renovation, I think we really first have to see if it's going to be supported by the membership. So far, so good. We got the inspection done. Do we take baby steps and start with the pizzas and subs and see how that works? But I'm just thinking if we're going to have something for the remodeling, I think we have to make sure that it works first. And I'm not trying to be a downer with this. I mean, I love the lodge, but I also want to see it successful before we, put good money into the possibility of bad. I hope not. I'm just, that's a fear of mine.
fair enough. Yeah, and Bridget Durham joined the food service committee, and she's been talking with members and getting asking people to fill out a survey of like what trying to get a pulse of the membership of what do you want to see on a new lodge? What would you want to see it like? The fact of the matter is I've never remodeled a bar in my life, so probably don't want me doing that. But I mean, we have people that do know that, but she's trying to get a pulse of the membership to know what do people want. Lodge when it reopens, and we're targeting April. Will COVID go away by April? I can't take that. I don't. There's talks of a vaccine, but I can't tell you when that's going to take effect. So, we can plan and we can see how people support it, and maybe April becomes June when if COVID dies down enough that it actually can support it. We don't want to reopen and have 3 tables of people there and losing money.
Are we going to try to reopen before we do the renovations, or I'm trying to understand the timing?
Well, the original timing plan was we were going to close down January, February, March renovations. I would love to have a crystal ball to know if April I can actually reopen full strength to make that actually work. I don't know. I don't know the answer. I mean, before we go put $50,000-$75,000 into remodeling, easily do. Are we going to be able to open back to full strength and make it work? I don't want to open this lose $20,000 a month. Go back to not what we told the membership we were going to do. So I don't have all the answers. But we are going to present some an amenity request to do some remodeling.
I think that from what I've been hearing, to kind of piggyback on what Annie said, is that there are people who would be interested in donating. I think you could have a pretty robust fundraiser, but they want to see the renderings, the drawings first. And I think there's some concern that April might be too early to try to reopen and complete the renovations the way that I suppose some people are seeing the renovations be completed. So I don't know. And do we have any contractors that we're looking at or talking to?
I mean, I haven't done anything. I lost kind of the help I had that was kind of driving this. So JJ and I have been just kind of trying to run the current operations, but I don't have the help I had before. I was really trying to. So what it comes down to is I don't have time to do all that. Not making an excuse. It's just reality.
Is there maybe an ad hoc committee that we could put together to help with, kind of planning the renovations, everything from planning to implementing?
Yeah, I'd love to have a ad hoc committee. Just need some people to fill for that load and take the lead on it. JJ's done a great job helping me out with the clubhouse and the lodge. It takes a lot of effort to run the basic operation, and the brewery. So it's hard to plan an entire renovation on your own too. So, on a good note, we got lager and pale ale.
Finally.
Annie, do you know any members that might want to help with an ad hoc committee to help,
Any ideas?
with the renovations, implementation, from A to Z, get us from here to there?
No, I do not off the top of my head. I know there were people that were involved that had ideas, and I think they've, to Jim's point, have backed off. So I really don't have anyone offhand.
Well, Linda, we have our food service committee. I'll see what we've got going on then, and then we'll just kind of touch base again and see if we got people that want to just do that part of it. Maybe I could reach out to a couple of people and see if they were willing to dive in and help just on the renovation part and be willing to do that and leave the operations to us, the rest of the committee. Might be an option. Anything else?
Good.
All right. Next item is a potential deer management program. I'm going to try to share this, but I put together these rules pretty much based on what Jim Hiles had presented to the committee. Okay, you should see my screen, but I did send this out to everybody on the call. So what I propose, and this is obviously open for discussion, and then this will go to the board for just a discussion on November. Talking with Linda, we wanted to give members at least a month to comment on this, send in any comments they have, so we can consider all aspects of this. But I know we had the DNR officers here last week. Everyone knows we have a lot of deer. We have small deer. We have damage to the browse that's causing long-term issues. So I'll just walk through these rules and then give any of you guys' comments on them, and then it'll go to the board. So it would be archery equipment only, as defined by Ohio DNR. The management plan will begin January 1st and end January 31st. All HAH members wishing to participate must have their shooting positions reviewed and approved by a representative of the management committee. Security will retain a list of approved hunters. Must have a sufficiently elevated position to shoot from to ensure the arrow hits the ground on your property. Must hunt on their own property or have written permission to hunt on another property. Member must get permission from another property or retrieve it down here on the other member's property. All harvests must be reported to security within 1 hour of recovery. All harvests must be reported in accordance with Ohio's hunting regulations. Bag limits in accordance with Ohio hunting regulations. And mature does only. We're not allowing people to target out for deer. Well, the goal of this is to reduce population, not the trophy hunt. And permits will be for, I put this in here, permits will be for member and family guests living in Hideaway. No social guest will be approved under this program. With that, what comments do the management committee have?
I don't have any comments. I'm not a hunter, so it's really, it sounds good to me, but again, I'm not a hunter.
And the goal is we have to do this safely and minimal disruption to, again, the non-hunting members of the, non-members, hunting members, but, still make this effective. Purpose, I put it in January, obviously, so we could have it at another board meeting and get it approved, but January time to hunt. Your big go is because you can put out corn and they will come in pretty regularly to that. So we can do this safely. So Steve and Rex and Marty, what comments do you guys have?
Jim, my only question is, does the rule number 3, okay, so I guess my question is, we don't have any limit on lot size. Thinking about my little lot, I wouldn't, but do you think rule 3 covers that if they're set up correctly, lot size is an issue?
I think that's, lot size is going to be difficult for somebody who's got just a small lot with houses around them. Because I don't think you can get elevated and sure that your home is going to stay on your property. So it's really going to be very difficult when a management committee member goes out there and looks at it and says, you've got half an acre and your neighbor's house is behind you. That's going to be tricky. My case is pretty simple. I've got 2.5 acres. I got plenty of wood, nobody behind me, around me. But some members it's not going to work. And that's going to be okay. They're just going to have to understand safety is the first priority of this.
Sounds like somebody wanted to go on.
Does that answer your question, Rex?
Yes, that does. Thank you.
Yeah, I definitely think the management committee definitely needs to be cognizant of that. If someone wants permission, you can't be around houses and have shop toward a house. That's not going to work. Steve and Marty, do you have any comments?
I mean, so the reason for the residence lot was in the stipulation from ODNR that was here with us was members hunting on their own property in the state of Ohio would not have to purchase a deer license in the state of Ohio. If we would open up or use Area 54 or, some public area, they said, we didn't have too much. I think Randy said about 15 acres, which, with our trails and things up there, I don't know that we'd ever want to open that up. So that's kind of where we were thinking, limiting to the, the owner's property itself. I think it's something we'll really have to kind of check out. We just can't have somebody send in a request. I think we're going to need to look at the area and see if it is one lot. They have 3 lots. If it does have, a border on the outside, because the last thing we want is any issues at all with anybody. And that's not the intent. We're, through their recommendations, this is the only way for us to get a healthy herd of deer down here and have them quit, working on people's flowers and gardens and things like that, because the deer are hungry and they're going to eat what they can get to. Something Randy and I talked, I think we discussed even in the meeting, maybe going to South Central when they reseed some of these areas where they're going to bury our lines, maybe get them to put in food plot type stuff there to kind of help increase some of this area for them to graze on and actually be able to eat and become more healthy too. So that's kind of down the road, but I can't see where it'll ever hurt for us to ask them to do something like that.
The DNR provided, Randy sent to me, and I can share it with the committee, an extensive amount of information about deer management process and survey information. But I think the impact to me is just, I'm not a fan. I thought about, we could close Area 54 and do that, but I think that just amplifies our problem. We can just do this on a small basis on people's property. They're a lot better. I don't want people trying to go for a walk. That just amplifies the impact. You got anything, Marty?
If I remember the conversation from the last meeting, that even if you are going to go retrieve the deer off of somebody else's property, you still are going to have to make sure that you have a hunting license to do that. And I don't see where it says anything on here, right? The only way you didn't need a hunting license is if it was 100% on your own property.
I don't think you need a hunting license. This is my recollection. You don't need a hunting license just to go retrieve the deer, but you do need that member's permission to go there. You can't come on someone else's property without permission to do that, to retrieve that deer. And that's a risk. If someone says no, technically
Wow.
you can't go on their property without permission.
So what do we do? What do we do with a dead deer in somebody's property then?
It's an important, I mean, that's just an unfortunate situation. It does happen. If somebody says, no, you're not getting that deer, we cannot force them to allow that. I hope that's the situation, but it is a possibility.
Okay.
I did just remember, and I think it was you that brought up, or somebody that they need to put their lot number on their arrows. You want to do that?
Name or lot number or something on the fledging or shaft somewhere on the arrow so it can be identified.
Yeah.
And, I'll add it to number 3. Members must put their lot number and name shaft. I'll just have to paint it on there somehow. Okay.
Yep.
What other concerns? Board members, do you have any questions before Tuesday?
We just need to be prepared that some of our membership won't be happy about this. Others will be fine with it. One thing that I had talked with you about doing, Jim, was asking Marty Scholl to come, and he can't come to the November board meeting, but he came to the December board meeting to show or to demonstrate, at least through some pictures that I hope he has, what it looks like when the deer population is normal. In other words, what does our flora look like? Because right now it's not normal. If you look, there's a lot of erosion. There's hardly anything green. Of course, now it's fall, but even prior to that. So I think Marty could help us with that, but we need to be prepared for pushback. So the more education we can do, the better.
And I think one of the things you said Marty thought we should try in spring, this would be a spring project, is put up a couple fences.
Yeah, he called them exposures. Yeah.
We could do that at Area 54, maybe even try to get adopt area or somebody to try to help us with fencing costs. Just put some fencing up, keep the deer out, and just say, this is what it would look like if the deer weren't browsing this to nothing, that you would actually have some undergrowth and just kind of see how that would look. That's something to talk about.
Maybe even an area along Hideaway Hills Lane. I mean, that's highly visible. Folks would be able to see that.
Yeah.
That might be helpful too.
We could do it on one of the watershed lots that the club owns, and just to show people what the difference is between overbrowsed and not browsed. What's funny is I work out in the morning with a guy that grew up in here, and he said he used to walk everywhere and you never saw a deer at all in the 60s. And now, you can't walk out yard. You can't walk out into your yard without not seeing a deer. Something we have to deal with, but it's hopefully we can deal with it in a safe way. Annie, do you have any comment?
Yeah, my only concern, I think, kind of got addressed already with the number 3 there, because there are some areas of Hideaway that the houses are really tight together, and my concern is people hunting in those areas. How would we be sure that there weren't any risks to others? But I think since you guys are going to be reviewing the elevated positions, you'll be able to see if it's a good spot or not.
Yeah, I'm just going to put in a tree stand placement. That's not being near basically other member's house. Okay.
Yeah, it's got to be a process. You know, maybe we can use some experienced hunters from the range committee or others to assist us with this. And yeah, we need to be careful of that. You get in the middle of the hills here, some of the courts, and we've got houses backed on top of each other. We're gonna have to look hard at that. I mean,
Yeah.
no one's going to get hurt. We're not going to do it if
No.
there's any chance for property or damage or people to get hurt. It can't be done.
One of
And
the positive things I think about is, you know, a good chunk, probably 40% of our members are snowbirds. So in January, we should have fewer people in the hills. That should help.
Good point. And I think that's important. I mean, it'd be less kids walking around, you know, but I want to make sure everyone does it safe, and we'll keep it pretty limited. Okay.
I guess anybody that have a question, maybe review the last meeting or get with one of us. You know, this isn't the only option we looked at. That's why we had Odie and our come in here. But they reviewed, you know, we talked about sterilization programs and the cost associated with that. Having to contract with a third party company is just, it was astronomically high. If I don't want to misquote the figure, but it was thousands of dollars to tag a deer, track a deer, and actually treat the deer, to sterilize the deer so they can't reproduce. And obviously we don't have that kind of money in our budget to look at something like this.
Well, I have to say, Steve, before I heard their presentation, I thought that deer sterilization was a good idea. But after I heard the presentation, I changed my mind. And it's unfortunate because that seems to be the kinder and gentler way. It doesn't sound feasible. And I don't think it's viable for us, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Just didn't want people to think this, we were just jumping right out and doing this. It was looked at, and that's why we went with the state. We have some of their botany people and some other people that'll also offer to come in and help us if we want to, you know, get some of the fauna put back in and plant some of these food plots and do these other things. You know, this is some stuff we can look at them for a resource too. I was just hoping maybe we could abuse South Central Power back a little bit, and if we can get them to foot some of the cost of it, that would even be better.
Mm-hmm.
Believe me, it's not a popular thing in my house. It's playing.
I think it'll be helpful for members for the message you send out about this to share what you just pointed out, Steve, that you guys did look at other options and they were very costly and didn't seem feasible. So not everyone is, I guess, nerdy like me and watches your management meetings. And so I just want to make sure they understand you guys have been looking into options. So
yeah, that was astronomically high. I had no idea it would even be close to that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I know Bell works at City of Columbus, but he works at specifically Clear Creek Metro Park. Have a hunt there somehow, just because it's the most effective way to manage their herd and their population. So okay. All right, I'll resend out the revised thing, and then like I said, this will get put in a board meeting on. All right, smoking area locations. So I know this has been a hot topic. Give you a little background. The lodge deck is a no smoking area. I believe that it's a no smoking area. I think it's actually a rule for the, but the board temporarily allowed smoking on the back deck of the lodge. I don't have anybody back there, but that will expire in December. And so we'll go back to non-smoking. The management committee has reviewed several times trying to figure out an area to have a smoking area, smoking section at the lodge. We talked about a gazebo somewhere. We actually put a bench out across the street, but unfortunately that's not in the liquor. That is not in our liquor footprint, so members couldn't take that up there. So, and then the clubhouse, currently the lodge back deck is smoking. I think there's a desire to change that and come up with a different situation. We temporarily made it non-smoking with nobody people not dining up there, we went back to a smoking situation. I think the board would like to have a program where that gets changed, goes to completely non-smoking in there, but I'll leave that decision up to the board. But I did want to entertain some discussion about where can we put another smoking area for both the clubhouse and the lodge. Neither location, both of them are on kind of a side of a hill, so neither location really has a great place to put like a gazebo that you could close a couple sides in, put a walkway. But you could do probably the lodge, the easiest. You could put it over in between the kitchen door and main door and put a gazebo down there for a walkway. A clubhouse is a little more limited because you come out and you go take a right out of the front clubhouse door, you take a right. There's not a lot of room there. Plus people are walking through there. And the other side, I don't know how much room is really there between there and the generator. So I guess I'd open up to discussion about where we can put another smoking area. First off, the lodge. What's your thoughts? Where we can have a smoking lodge?
Is there room out back down the steps?
Well,
Or was that much of a hill?
We had originally discussed that. The problem is then you're having people underneath the deck smoking. Smoke rises, smoking, and so that was originally turned down just because of its location, proximity to the people dining on the back deck. But it's not the worst idea. It was never the worst idea. We had talked about different locations for a gazebo. We never come up with one. But
What about the new asphalted area that we have that would have had the other deck on it? I mean, it's still going to be at a lower level than what the existing deck is, but it would be further away.
Well, that's outside of the permit area, though. That's outside of the permit. That's outside of the footprint.
there's a footprint basically the front fence,
Okay.
and then around the edge of the building, and then the deck.
It's just the front fence and then the back deck.
So where was the smoking area before?
Basically, we asked people to go across the street. Well, yeah, we asked people to go across the street, just so members didn't have to walk through smoke, like they would stand by the front door.
Yeah.
There's a bench and a ashtray across the street. Unfortunately, they're not, in the weather, they're standing out in the rain. It just didn't work out very well. So,
I really don't like the idea of putting a structure. I really don't like the idea of putting a structure in the front of the lodge. It would just ruin the aesthetic of that building. If the asphalt area is outside the alcohol area and someone has to set their drink down to go have a cigarette, I'm sorry, that's a choice they made. And I'm saying that, which I'm not against people having a cigarette, but there's
we had talked about also, Rex, putting a gazebo out closer to the parking lot, hiding it a little bit with some pine trees. It's obviously outside the liquor area, but that was a thought of the committee before, is put it across the street and put a gazebo and try to hide it a little bit so you don't ruin the aesthetic of the lodge.
Yeah, that's fine to me. I believe it's more just putting something right there in front.
Randy, how was this footprint established originally?
Yeah, that's that. I don't know how it was established originally, but we increased the footprint down at the clubhouse to the whole golf course and the putting green. So that's a possibility. You could do the same thing at the lodge. You could increase the footprint to across the street. or out to the asphalt area. Because if we had ever built a deck, we were going to ask, and I already got the application. We were going to ask that we increase the footprint to include the new deck. So we can always do that. It's not that big a deal.
That would give us more options if we could do that, if it's not
Yeah.
a big deal.
You just have
Yeah.
to be careful, like during amphitheater events. If you make that footprint, wherever you make that, people cannot bring in outside alcohol into that or violate their liquor rule. But I'm not opposed to that. Maybe looking at putting a gazebo down in that asphalt area and expanding the liquor. I mean, saying that's part of the lot. We just have to rope it off somehow during events and just put a sign up that says no outside alcohol.
I think it might be a lot more doable than trying to ruin the aesthetics, put it in the front yard, or have them smoking at a door where everybody walks in. And it's to the back, but it's still part of that footprint. Easy to come down the back set of steps to get to it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Then I don't know how big of a gazebo. I really don't know how big that area is, but it does have a good asphalt footing there now too.
Yeah, I mean, we'd have to look at sizing and pricing of gazebos. I mean, really, we're targeting spring for the lodge because there's no sense spending the money now. The temporary area is not really, I mean, hardly getting, so we'll worry about that. But I would like to come up with a solution to present to the board. It says, okay, when this expires, here's what we recommend, what we would like to see as the smoking area. I kind of like the idea of the back asphalt. If we extend the footprint, and that way it's down, it's not bothering anyone, and people can still have their drink down there.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if you want a formal motion, I'll make that motion for us to proceed looking into that area and see what it would take to increase that footprint. At least then the board would have something they could discuss at their next meeting and see if that might meet everybody's needs.
I'll second it.
Okay, I'm good with that. Rex and Marty?
No, I think it's worth looking into.
Yeah.
Sure. Yep.
Okay. Well, that would be our recommendation of the lodge, that we purchase a gazebo that we can put down in the new asphalt area away from the rest of the footprint to allow alcohol in that gazebo. So clubhouse, just going off memory, I don't know where else to put a gazebo. They enclose a shelter house. In the summer, it's pretty easy. You roll up the shelter house and you can sit outside there or under the cover. But I don't know about winter where the open area. I'm open to ideas.
Well, something I did some research on, I mentioned a little bit, I think, to you. I've done some research on air curtains. So, I mean, at least to get us through the winter months, I don't know there's going to be a lot of dining on that back deck at the clubhouse, but I understand when the door opens and closes, there could be smoke that comes in there. But for around $250, you can buy their air curtains, 3-4 foot wide, depending on the width of your door. And it just shoves a jet stream of air straight down. It pushes the air from inside back in and the air from outside. It would give a better viable option. So when that door is open and closed, it's not creating a fanning motion. There's going to be a positive airflow coming down and keeping that smoke on the two separate sides. And it's a pretty small investment, I guess, trying to come up with some sort of solution to get us through the winter months.
Is there an outlet over by the door?
I don't know that, but I would think our guys could probably figure out how to get that done.
Or wire something.
They may be able to go down through the ceiling.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Just asking. I didn't know if you knew or not.
Yeah, I'm not
You know,
positive.
and if this would work out, there's options for, I mean, even if it's a cold air thing, they make them with heating elements in it, so it's blowing warm air. You've all walked into a store someplace and their vestibule between the inside and outside doors, you know, there's that air, and that's exactly what it's doing, is keeping that out too. I mean, if the cold was really going to be part of the problem too, I didn't to get a price on any of those, but I wouldn't think it'd be that much more to have a heating element in one. But that's what I did find out. There's plenty of them out there and available for that around $250 cost, which may give us maybe an opportunity to stay where we're at least to get through the winter months. I mean, with the lodge closing down, this is going to be the only place that people are going to want to go to. So we want to make it as best we can for everybody.
What do you think? You're at the clubhouse a lot. What's your recommendation? Marty?
What? Oh,
What's
you're talking to me?
Yeah, Marty.
Sorry.
What's your recommendation?
Wake up, Father Time.
Yeah, you're at the
Go back
lodge
to
a lot.
sleep.
What's your recommendation on this?
No, I think we go with what Steve's saying. Let's go with the air curtain. Keep the smoking at the clubhouse. You know where it's at. I mean, there's a double door there anyhow, right? You know, so you got like a
there's
little
only
bit.
only a single door.
Single
but
door
you-
outside.
No, yeah, to go outside, but then to get back into the clubhouse proper, where the bar and restaurant is, you have to go through another door, right? If I remember right.
No, it's just the
No?
one door. It's just the one door.
Okay. All right. Well, but I think that's a good. I think it's probably about our best option. So.
I still think we definitely need to consider some longer term solutions. I might try to talk to a couple of the people up that do smoke and see if they have an idea, some other ideas that we're not thinking of. You know, we want to give our members a place that's out of the wind and the rain and go out and have a cigarette, but still provide a place for non-smokers to enjoy. So, okay. I don't want to beat it to death, so we'll have a couple of recommendations, but
If I might add, we would be remiss in not thinking about the non-smokers, because the way the clubhouse is now, there's no covered outdoor space where non-smokers can go without smoke.
correct. Yeah, if they close that shelter house in, that would be non-smoking, but that stays open, then that stays partially open, then that would be smoking. You're correct.
Yeah. You have a rule that says that smoking and vaping is permitted in the golf course shelter house.
Yeah, if they enclose that, that's going to have to be open smoking. Fully enclose it with a plastic barrier. So
I think eventually we have to find other options. We can go along to get along here, but the deck, as I forget who said it just a minute ago, but for the non-smokers and in bad, no, let's not say bad weather, but in winter weather, there are some good days where people might want to be out and sit on the deck. Well, if you're a non-smoker, that's not going to be an option for you. You really have no place to go at that point, except stay inside. So there's already a designated area pursuant to the rules. Annie went over it. So we need to think of something else. And there has to be a way to do it.
let me try talking to some smokers up there and see if there's some other options that they would entertain that would work. And go from there. But anybody else have anything to add, JJ?
No, we've been going back and forth with this for a while, but I mean, get a consensus of what you think that the people are looking for up there. I know there's a number of them, but there's a number of them that don't smoke. I think it's something that we just really have to figure out, because we've just been bouncing back and forth with this for a while. The area there is not that big, although, you know, the liquor license, like I said, like Randy had said, expands through the whole course. But to put a gazebo or something like that out there, I don't know really an area where you could put it.
No,
Designated area.
unless you put, you got the fire pit area kind of out there that, it's just kind of an extension of the shelter house. So not really an issue in the summer. It's just in winter months, where would have people go. Okay. continued further. So anything else for the open discussion? Short executive session.
Not for me.
Anything else? Nope.
We're good.
Okay. I think whoever's got the host button could kill the recording.
Yeah, I don't have that anymore.